Tell me what you did today, and I will tell you where you will be in 10 years. That's a good quote. Not from me though, but somebody important. And it makes a lot of sense too, isn't it? Your habits shape your life and destiny. Great empowering habits can massively transform your lives, and on the other hand, bad disempowering habits can pull your life into mediocrity. In fact, a great life is nothing but a life lived with great habits. And it's not like people don't want to imbibe good habits. Each one of us has the right intention to inculcate a good habit, but only a minuscule few are able to succeed with setting lifelong habits. Most of them are not able to build good habits in the long term. And that's exactly why Atomic Habits by James Clear is one of my favorite books in recent years. No other book solves habit forming issues more effectively than James' book. In fact, I would recommend you to read the book instead of listening to this episode. The topic today is 4 laws of behavior change, which is the crux of the book. This, in fact, is a book summary, so to say, presenting some of the very valuable lessons from my favorite author, James Clear. The 4 laws of behavior change is a practical framework, a set of rules that can be used to design good habits and eliminate bad habits from your life. The entire book talks about these 4 laws. Before publishing this episode, I was in two minds. Initially, I thought I would do one short episode summarizing the 4 laws altogether, but then I felt I would not be doing justice. Instead, I decided to shoot 4 different episodes to talk about each law at a time, because otherwise, going through all the 4 superficially won't serve any purpose. And I'm going to publish each of these episodes 4 days in a row. So if you do not want to miss out on the following 3 episodes, subscribe to my channel and you will be notified when I publish the rest 3. So there are 4 laws to create a good habit. Law number 1, cue, make it obvious. Law number 2, craving, make it attractive. Law number 3, response, make it easy. And law number 4, reward, make it satisfying. Whenever you want to change a behavior, you can simply ask yourself these 4 questions. How can I make the habit more obvious? How can I make the habit more attractive? How can I make the habit easy? And how can I make the habit more satisfying? For this episode, I will talk about the first law, cue. How can I make the habit more obvious? First law, cue, make it obvious. All habits, good or bad, start with a cue. Cue is nothing but a trigger. The presence of ice cream in the refrigerator, the presence of remote control next to the sofa, the presence of phone in your pocket, they are all cues for you to either binge eat, either binge watch TV, or check your social media or updates on the phone. The urges to act comes from these cues or triggers. Before we act on building new habits, we first need to understand and be aware of our current habits. Some of our habits are so deeply rooted in our lives that it's mostly non conscious and automatic. And that is the challenge we first need to overcome. Hence, a habit scorecard is a very useful tool to take inventory for your daily habits. To create your own habit scorecard, you need to make a list of your daily habits from the very thing that you do in the morning till you go to bed again. Here's a sample list of how your habit scorecard might look like. Wake up, turn off your alarm, check my phone messages and social media, go to the bathroom, meditate for 15 minutes, brush my teeth, make a cup of tea, take a shower, put on deodorant, hang up towel to dry, get dressed, and so on. Once you have the full list, look at each behavior and ask yourself, is this a good habit, a bad habit, or a neutral habit? If it's a good habit, write plus beside it. If it's a bad habit, write minus beside it. And if it's a neutral habit, write equal to beside it. This is how the list might look like after you assign plus, minus, and equal to besides your habit list. The marks you give to a particular habit will depend upon your situation and your goals. For example, for somebody who's trying to lose weight, nibbling chocolates first thing in the morning is a bad habit. You need to understand that there are no good habits or bad habits. There are only effective habits and non effective habits. That is, effective at solving problems. See, all habits serve you in some way or the other, even the bad habits, which is why you repeat them. For this exercise, categorize your habits by how they will benefit you in the long run. For example, smoking a cigarette may reduce stress right now because that's how it's serving you right now, but it's not a healthy habit in the long term behavior. Here is a question you can ask yourself to rate your present habits. Does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be in the future? The first step to changing bad habits is to be on the lookout for them. And this very exercise helps you to do exactly that. Habit scorecard helps you recognize your habits and acknowledge the cues that trigger them, which makes it easy to respond in a way that benefits you. Next important tactic is implementation intention. To start a new habit, you need to start with plan that you make beforehand about when and where to act. I must repeat about when and where to act. This is called as implementation intention. This is how you intend to implement a particular habit. As I said before, the cues that can trigger a habit come in a wide range of forms. It could be the feel of your phone buzzing in your pocket. It could be the smell of chocolate cookies from, say, from your kitchen or from a restaurant or a bakery. But the two most common cues are time and location. Implementation intentions take advantage of both these cues, time and location. So, the format for creating an implementation intention is this: when situation X arises, I will perform response Y. Hundreds of studies have shown that implementation intentions are effective for sticking to our goals. They increase the odds that people will stick with habits. A simple way to apply this strategy to your habits is to fill out this sentence. I will quotes behavior at quotes time in quotes location. For example, meditation. I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my kitchen. Studying. I will study Spanish for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in my bedroom. Exercise. I will exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. in my local gym. Marriage. I will make my partner a cup of tea at 8 a.m. in the kitchen. By writing this implementation intention, you make the cues of good habits obvious and visible. There is another benefit to implementation intentions. Being specific about what you want and how you will achieve it helps you say no to things that hinder your progress or distract you. For example, if your implementation intention is exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. at the local gym, you will say no to a friend's invitation to a bar for a drink at the same time. Your environment as a cue, designing your environment for success. Most people do not know that their environment is the most powerful cue or trigger for your habit. Environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. Even though we are all distinct personalities, certain behaviors tend to arise again and again under certain environmental conditions. For example, have you ever been to the church? Most people, when they talk in whispers in the church. Most people behave carefully or discreetly when they are walking in the dark. Since every habit is initiated by a cue, we are more likely to notice cues that stand out. It's easy not to practice the guitar when it's hidden inside your cupboard. It's easy not to read a book when the bookshelf is in the corner of your guest room. It's easy not to eat your apples when the apples are out of sight in the refrigerator. It's easy not to drink enough water when you do not have water bottles around you. When the cues that spark a habit are subtle or hidden, they're easy to ignore. There are a few ways that you can redesign your environment and make the cues for your preferred habits more obvious. For example, if you want to remember to take your medicines each night, put your medicine directly next to the tap on the bathroom counter. If you want to practice guitar more frequently, place your guitar stand in the middle of the living room. If you want to remember to send more thank you notes, keep a stack of thank you notes right at your desk. If you want to drink more water, fill up a few water bottles each morning and place them in common locations around the house. The point I'm trying to make is if you want to make a habit a big part of your life, you have to make the cue or the trigger a big part of your environment. Making a better decision is easy and natural when the cues and the triggers for good habits are right in front of you. In contrast to popular belief, disciplined people do not have more self control. They just are better at structuring their lives in a way that doesn't require a lot of willpower or self control. Disciplined people create disciplined environment. That means simply resisting temptation is an ineffective strategy. It takes a lot of your energy to fight temptations every day. In the short run, you can choose to overpower temptation, but in the long run, we become a product of the environment that we live in. One of the most practical ways to eliminate a bad habit is to reduce exposure to the cue that causes it. If you do not want to watch TV, hide your remote control somewhere. If you can't seem to get any work done, leave your phone in another room for a few hours. So you see, make the cues of bad habits invisible and you will eliminate the habit. So to conclude in this episode, you learned how you can build new habits by making the relevant cues or triggers more obvious and how to eliminate bad habits by hiding the same cues from your environment. In the second episode, we talk about second law of change, craving, how to make the behavior change more attractive. See you then. Bye bye.